And of course, as the ceasefire in Gaza takes shape, prisoners are heaving a sigh of relief as they reunite with their families. It is a moment of joy on both sides as drums of war, sounds of guns and bombs gave way to an atmosphere of peace. Joining me on the news tonight is Jonathan. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Jonathan is an Israeli-Lebanese expert and will be giving us more information. So good to have you on the news, please, tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Okay, what was the effect of the long months war on both sides, especially in Israel and Palestine?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned earlier, we're now today 472 days since Hamas launched its war against Israel, where they infiltrated Israeli territories, killing 1,200 innocent Israelis. That the majority of them were just in their homes, kidnapping more than 250 Israeli citizens back at that day. Today, they have still remained in their captivity 94 hostages that Hamas are still holding them, hoping to bargain them with Palestinian terrorist prisoners that are responsible for killing hundreds of innocent Israelis throughout the years. Yet, on one hand, we are joyful to see the 3 Israeli hostages return safe to their homes yesterday, and hopefully also to see the rest of the 94 hostages being back home. This is our main target. We're happy to see them back in their family household. Yet, on the other hand, like I mentioned before, there are hundreds of Palestinian terrorists that are going to be released because this is what Hamas intended to do when they kidnapped them on October 7th, 2023. So you can say that the thoughts in Israel are being conflicted around that because of the toll that we're going to pay. But this is something that we put on. We cherish life and we want all of these hostages to be back to their homes. Hopefully that also the international community would join Israel by making sure that Hamas, that is responsible for launching its devastating war on October 7th, leading to what's happening in Gaza today, will not stay in power the day after. This is something that all the international community should join forces with Israel in order to make sure that, like what they did on October 7th, can't happen again, because they said it again and again. Their leaders at Hamas headquarters, that their intent is to do October 7th once more, and we can't let that happen.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. In the last 24 hours, what would you say the mood like is in Gaza and its environs? I mean, it's been months of bombings and killings, and I'm curious about what your initial reaction was and what the mood like is in Gaza at the moment.
Well, I'm not the spokesman for Gaza, but what we have seen online and on social media and also on the TV, you do see a lot of innocent people that are happy that the war has ended because Hamas is the one responsible for leading them into that situation. We've heard also numerous Palestinians speaking out on social media against Hamas, hoping that Hamas wouldn't hold power the day after. This is something that I think the international community, like I mentioned before, needs to join them in making sure that whoever controls Gaza the day after is the one that actually will make sure that Gaza will be able to rebuild in favor of the people living in Gaza and not for the Hamas terrorist organization. We've seen also aid trucks, like many of the last 472 days, entering to Gaza in order to make sure that the innocent civilians in Gaza will get aid, and hopefully Hamas will not loot that aid again like they did numerous times throughout the last few months that we have witnessed for. Also today, there was a Palestinian interviewing to an Israeli outlet also saying that the responsibility for this war and its outcome, it's because of Hamas, and they're hoping for the day after that will be silent, actually, without having any issues with that matter. And that's something that we're really hoping for. We do hope that finally, at the end of the day, we will not have to go back to war. And this is something that I don't think a lot of the international community understand, or the people worldwide. Today, Israel is still holding a seventh front. We have the Islamic Republic of Iran that have numerous times attacked us in the last year. Also, with its proxies, Hezbollah from Lebanon. You have the Islamic Republic supporters in Syria that also launched missiles at Israel. You have the Islamic resistance in Iraq that also launched missiles at Israel. The Houthis in Yemen that are still consistently threatening shipments worldwide that have any connections with Israel. So you see that the war, although we see that the war in Gaza have now went into the ceasefire phase, but the war hasn't ended because Iran's mission was always to take Israel down, and they're not going to stop until they get their goal. But here's the deal. Israel is not going anywhere, and we need to make sure that the whole international community joins forces with Israel in order to make sure that the Islamic Republics of Iran's plan to eliminate Israel will not be successful.
Jonathan, I really appreciate that. Jonathan is an Israeli-Lebanese expert. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.